Hi, I'm Fat Tony, and you're watching The Recovery. On this week's show, we have a really good friend of mine, Brandon Block. Hi,
Hello,
Brandon. What's going
hello,
on?
Tony. How are you, mate? It's lovely to see you
I'm
again.
good. I'm good. You know, the reason you had to do one of these recoveries because for me, whenever I do interviews or I do anything that's like remotely to do with music, like Mixed Mag or any of those stuff, and I have stuff online, people always comment, "You're not the biggest Kaner, Brandon Block was," and it's like I really want to get people and say, "Look, it's not competition," and also no, he wasn't. But it's just like so we're going to put the facts straight today. I just think people love to judge on other people on what they hear, and they love to think, "Oh no, I read this somewhere, so he's definitely done that." Do you get what I mean? It's kind of mad, isn't it?
Well, that's a bit like those human needs. It's significance, isn't it? So to feel significant, he's better than you. He's worse than you. I've read more than you. So I get all that.
But I think with what it's about mainly with me is that in the famous Mix Magazine film, I said I'd spent over £1 million on drugs, and it wasn't a boast. What it was a part of the sentence about redemption. So people completely straight away go straight to that because they use it as a hook line. So they go straight to that as if I'm boasting. It's like it's like I have a Lamborghini of drug taking. Do you know what I mean?
I mean, the thing about it is, I found that, but when I actually say, and I'm not saying it because, the amount of, gear I ended up taking that nearly killed me, or actually would very nearly kill me, it was horrendous. I don't say it because I'm proud. I'm saying it because don't let that get the better of you. Don't end up,
Don't let that define who you are.
Yeah, it doesn't, because, these substances we get involved in, they are addictive. We know that. And, if you're not aware of what's going on underneath at the time, you can end up going mental like we did.
What was life like for you growing up?
I've just done my Zoom group, which you very kindly spoke at the other week, which was wonderful. And the subject came up, and I can't remember my childhood memories as such, and I'm not sure, and I don't think it was about blocking them. I don't know what it was. It was, but my childhood memories. I don't remember anything bad. Let's be honest, right? I don't remember having a necessarily traumatic childhood. But then, am I comparing to other people's stories I've heard? I don't know. But for me, I think it was fairly all right. I remember enjoying a lot of my, the roller skating and the riding my chopper and chipper and tomahawk bikes and playing conkers and playing football and roller hockey and all the stuff that we pretty much did. But we didn't have the distractions we do now. So,
were you a competitive child?
I think I don't know if I was wanting to be the best or the supposedly the best. I think I was good at things. I was okay, talented. I was good. I was a good roller skater. I was a good footballer. I wasn't
the best conker player that London has ever seen, right?
Yeah. I was a good DJ.
Yeah. No, but you weren't. What age was that?
So look, I started as a mobile DJ back in back in 1983,
Yeah.
and that was by default. I was in a pub, my local pub we used to drink in, and the DJ who was there at the time didn't turn up, and then they said, "Look, go and get your records, go and get your milk crates or whatever." So me and my best mate Ali, we went and got our milk crates and records. We turned back up, we played records, and obviously because we knew everyone in the pub and we was playing the right music, the one they wanted to hear, they said, "Right, you got the job, blah de blah. You are." You're ready to go. And we said, lovely. So we played, it got busier and busier. We did it each week from then. And then we ended up doing getting the British Telecom comma van. I went to Tandy and got the personal account to buy all the gear. We couldn't buy the Technics at the time because they were like 600 quid each. So we suffered with some belt-driven turntables, would you believe? Yeah. Anyway, so we did that around the pubs in London for a while. I suppose natural progression. I don't really remember. We was drinking all the time, obviously, because we was in pubs, and that was the thing we did. And we danced. We went out. We bought import records. We went and bought the whole funk and soul, and and all the new hip hop stuff. So basically, we spent all our money on records and whatever clothes we could afford on the back of the records.
So when did you stop spending money on records and start spending money on drugs?
Ooh. So look, I suppose the progression was the drinking went to the West End clubs. The more trendy, the cooler, the best disco in town, Lyceum, Crackers, Cheeky Pete, the Beetroot, all this stuff. All our peers used to DJ, and yourself used to play in various of those at the time. So we'd be there, and I was very anti-drugs. So I had an experience when I was very young. With a joint of Sensimedia, believe it or not, and it actually ruined me. And I had a thing called a whiteout, which you'll know about. And so for those who don't know, it's when you go white and you literally look like a ghost and you cannot walk. Mm-hmm. And so 13 years old is probably not the best time to be trying the strongest weed on the market at the time. But that was then, and then that sort of turned me the other way. And I thought, well, you know what, I'm never. And I was very adamant and quite strong at that point. And then we'd been at a family wedding. I was very rebellious at the time. I still was struggling with the divorce going on and them still being friends, I was like, how does that work? And for being an only child, it was like, how can you not be together? How does that, so I'm asking these questions, and it seemed to be all right for them. It wasn't all right for me. So I rebelled the way I could. I got drunk, and I was at a big family wedding in Regent's Park in the zoo, where they used to have to do it at the zoo. I jumped over the barriers into the actual zoo, ripped down all the lights. I was trying to get into the gorillas enclosure and all sorts of madness. Anyway, so to calm me down, my dad took me to the car and he said, look, just take this with you. And he gave me a line. And I was like 16. And I thought, I didn't even think about it. All I knew was I'd sobered up immediately. So my dad was in the fashion industry, and he was in the quite high up in the fashion game. So that was all going on in those days, and that was like the sort of the DJ world of now, isn't it, the fashion industry? So moving forward, I had no recollection of that moment, and I suppose until later on in life when I sampled it again, and obviously there was a trigger or a memory which we know about now. But that was all happening at the same time. So the first, let's say, ecstasy pill I took was a half a Cali. Oh my God, it was incredible. I'll be honest.
Quite late on, really, because without going through the history of these, Cali's came along quite late.
I think it was 88 for me. That it was still 88. So maybe there may have been maybe some earlier. I'm sure there probably was in but that was my first experience in 88. And then the moment that happened, I was an acid house DJ. That was it. I was converted. This was
the pill. That was it. That was the change.
That was the change. I mean, I was playing music, but the synergy of the both, the music and that feeling of euphoria was just you can't describe it. It was incredible, and that's left me on my path. And I drove people mad to let me play house music in their clubs, and they did. They let me in the end, and I was quite tenacious, let's say, and carried on doing that. And I was very fortunate. And this is when these all the clubs started springing up, and you and me met, and we started playing in many of the same places in London.
It did, yeah.
It was, I can't describe it. You can't describe it. I mean, it was like a whirlwind. It was, every night of the week, one night. Then all of a sudden, these clubs were open every night of the week. Everyone was out every night. We went out every night, and we played records every night. And it wasn't. We didn't see the trouble with it, and we weren't using the way that we ended up using. We were using recreationally because we had fun in it, and it was only till we start the journey of finding about addictions and over obsessive behaviours and stuff.
When was the first point that you thought, I can't do this anymore? Not the big change at the end. I mean, at that first point, because for me, there was always these moments where I'd be out for 3 or 4 days. Before I even thought, but I knew I was an addict or it was ever a problem. But there'd be days where I'd be out for 3 days, 4 days with my friends at parties, always last sleep, always high, doing loads of these, blah, blah, blah. And then I'd have the come down day and I'd just think, I can't do that anymore. I can't do this. I've had enough. This is killing me. And of course, 20 years later, I'm still doing it. But, where was that first moment where you just thought, this isn't for me?
Probably within the first 6 months. I think it would have been early days. I mean, look, don't forget, I went to live in Ibiza in the first year or whatever, and you start partying hard.
Just a quick question, without trying to make it sound like we're blaming other people. For me, I did everything I did solo, but with all my mates. Yes. With you though, when it came to work, you had a work partner. Do you think that you both fueled each other?
Are you talking about Alex at the time, yes?
Yeah, at the time.
Yeah, I mean, of course, we play on that Space Terrace in Ibiza.
Yeah.
that was the club. That was the one. You know, everyone used to say in and go there on a Sunday.
You'd arrived, Brandon. You'd arrived. You know, it was like Brandon and Alex on that space, on that terrace, and at that time, that terrace was like the centre of the world for so many people. It really was. You know, it was Ibiza. That space terrace. That's what you went there for. Absolutely. Yeah, we went there for amnesia. Yeah, we went there for all of that other stuff. As soon as those roofs started coming on and they started to monetize the island, the only place to go was that space terrace. That was it.
And you know what? When Alex asked me to come along, and I had no idea what to expect because he'd been there a year already, setting up the terrace, obviously.
Yeah.
And I went and I walked in, and I just and I've said this about Ibiza, and there is a spiritual awakening. When you get off that plane, there's a feeling. I don't know what it is. I've never described it, and I don't want to describe it. It's unique. It's wonderful. It's very special. And you know it when you get and you feel it. And walking that space terrace added to that feeling. It was like, oh my God, can it get any better than this? Just the actual energy in that space terrace. And I walked in that first morning with Alex playing, and I was like, oh my God, this is it. So I went behind the decks, put my records down. We used to have 10 boxes of records behind the bar. And after that first day, Pepe said, look, you may as well, I mean, if you're up to it, do you want to employ, I'll employ Brandon as a member of staff. And I got my social security number within like two days, and then ended up playing we ended up playing every week and then every day. Going back to what you were saying about when did I start thinking? Well, I started thinking very early on that this is not going to be very good for my health. Yeah. But you cannot, when you're doing that, you can't stop, and you don't have time to think about that because you're constantly going out the next one. So there's no time to come down and go, and reflect on how you're feeling. You just go, right, I'm out again.
For me, it was exactly the same. You know, I'd be out every night of the week. I'd be working every night of the week. But, you know, so I never ever came down. Do you know what I mean? I'd have there'd be 2 days a week where I would rest. And then I would be so surrounded by people that gave me that energy to carry on to do more and more and more. It wasn't until much later where I couldn't be around people anymore that I had to lock myself away into toilet cubicles or back rooms of clubs and all of that stuff, because I couldn't be around people because my addiction was so great that I couldn't cope with people. They gave me anxiety. Do you know, there was a point, I think, towards the end when for about 2 years, I didn't look at a dance floor. I DJ'd looking at the mixer. I didn't look at anyone on the dance floor because I couldn't look at them. It was a way and means to get more drugs and a way and means to stay alive was DJing. And, you know, and I was still DJing in the best clubs in London. You know, the Cross and everything at that point in time, still being resident at Turnmills, but still couldn't look at the crowd because I'd lost myself.
I just wanted to say something about what you were saying just then about that. I think for me, right, I mean, again, of course, massive social anxiety going back. It's the most difficult thing to do. Come on, you go, someone said, they recommend, whoever it is, and I'm not saying that I took the same route by any means, but the recommendations at the time were leave your job, leave your friends, go and live somewhere else, go and live at the top of a mountain in Switzerland, and you will get better. No, I love my music. I'm going to go and fucking DJ. I'm going to go and DJ back in Ibiza, and I'm not going to take drugs. That's it. So my decision making, for me, was I was very fortunate that mind you, I had got to the place of complete and utter dire. Anyway, I don't think I had any options. But
what was it like? When you got dire? What was your life like?
An existence, a complete existence on cocaine, and that was it. Yeah. It was like, I can't describe it anymore. It was 24/7 routine, getting more, and that was it. That was all it was.
What did that do? What was the toll on your body, Brandon?
Well, I had TB, I had hepatitis, I had liver, lung problems. I had some of my lung removed through to an infection I caught from diving off the ferry in Hong Kong Harbour. I was dying, Tone. Literally, my body was giving up on me. My body was giving up on me before. I was self-medicating, but the medication wasn't working now. It had gone that far. So there was a choice. And I'm grateful I took the right choice to this day. You know, I didn't go down the other road. There was two options for me. There was one that way, which would have ended up with me demising. And I chose at the right time to do the other one. So, you know, I'm here today. And going back to what you're saying about those cycles of this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong. It was continual, and it got bigger and bigger. Then the arguments got bigger, then the self-talk got bigger, and then you had to come up with better and more insidious excuses to be able to, because what happens is, and you know this, when you start that journey, you go, right, that's wrong. So you immediately got your little devil going, right, you know that's wrong. Why are we doing it still? Oh, just go away. Here's the reasons. And you compound it. So the guilt, the shame, the embarrassment and everything else gets bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah, of course. With that guilt and shame, I used to I'd make up a drama so that people thought, oh, Tony's in that state because his dad's just died. Or he's just been diagnosed with cancer, or he's just been, I would make this stuff up so that you would feel sorry for me and you would understand why I was such a mess. You know what I mean? And that was the way I lived my life. There was no acceptance. I didn't accept the state I was in, but I didn't want you to accept it. But what I wanted you to do was I loved being the victim throughout all of it. I'd gone from being a hero to zero, and by maintaining zero. Do you get what I mean? And kind of just like plateauing. And I would tell people these dramatic stories just so that they thought, oh, I know why he's in that state now. Do you get what I mean? The insanity become normal. I was so insane that I normalized the most random, like mental stuff, like you say, jumping off boats in Hong Kong Harbour, because that's what was expected of you, Brandon. You were Brandon Block.
Yeah.
But you did nutty stuff. Everyone knew you were the nutter. Everyone thought, Brandon's here. He's going to, if anyone's going to do it, it's going to be Brandon that's going to do it. And you kind of have to live up to that.
Yeah.
I mean, we have to go that extra mile to out nutty anyone else. Do you get what I'm saying?
Totally. I mean, look, this goes back to, and I think, however, I don't want to look at it. I mean, so like I said, I was an only child, and I think I got bullied at school a bit. And then you have to start making a mask, or you have to create this protector for yourself, because you're on your own, and you get. So is it my fault? I'm getting bullied for whatever reasons, religious, cultural, whatever it is at the time. And you think, hold on a minute, what have I done here? And it's obviously my fault. So the only way I can manage this situation, i.e. going to school, is by making up someone who's completely outlandish, someone who probably doesn't want to really be approached by anyone, or because they're too scared of what they're going to get. So you get a mad bastard head on, and then that's where you morph into this crazy nutter, and that's what continues, because it's actually all right. It's a safe place, isn't it? Because you do get accepted. All right, you have to go nuts a bit. You have to, take loads of gear and but you do it, and you're happy with it until it starts becoming a problem.
You become unapproachable because you build this carnage of car crashes and smashed windows and everything around ourselves, so that people have to climb over that stuff to get to us. Do you know what I mean? So as soon as anyone gets near, we'll do something even more mental, just so that they think, oh, stay away from him, he's completely nutter. You don't need to go involved in that, because the last thing we want to do is get found out.
Yeah. So the reality is that underneath we're probably slightly different. We're actually quite, we're not completely nuts, although
we're hiding our insecurities, we're hiding the stuff that we don't, vulnerability. The more out there we put ourselves, the more, for me, I could be surrounded by 3,000 people. You put me in a room of 8, I crumble. Do you know what I mean? In front of 3,000 people, I'm my best, because they don't know me. I can't come near me. They're like the sea, and I'm on the rocks, to go on saying. But if I'm in a room of 8 people, that's when I'm at my most uncomfortablest.
I think a lot of us are like that, because you're conscious of the conversation. You're always, and this is what our conditioning does, because we're always taught to compare ourselves, aren't we? So we walk into a room and we are who we are. So you are Fat Tony, and you've been outspoken on many times, and I've been out there for most of my life. So you walk in, and then you think, well, who am I meant to be here now? And you have to ask this question. And then you think, is my confrontation going to be all right? Am I going to be? What are they thinking of me? And you've got to look at all this stuff and go, well, I can't change what they think of me. The only thing I can do is be myself, and hope that, or not even hope, but just if people accept me for me, then that's great. If they don't, then there's nothing I can change about that.
But for me, the job's really easy to read 3,000 people, 2,000 people. I can read for that crowd. I read a crowd. That's my job. It's your job. That's why we're still around. We know how to read a room. But you put me in a room with fucking 6 strangers, and I will do their reading for me. I will think what they're thinking about me. They all think I'm this. That one thinks that doesn't like me. This one doesn't like me. So therefore, I know. Let me set fire to the room. That's how my mind works. Do you get what I'm saying to you? I just thinking that does everybody else's thinking for them. Right? When I'm in front of a sea of people, I don't do their thinking.
But you know what? This is quite strange. You said, and have you noticed this? Everything you said then was negative.
Yeah.
We automatically go into their thinking I'm shit. They think I'm
always. I don't ever think, oh, they think I'm amazing.
No, they think, oh, you do, didn't you? You do as well. You think I'm absolutely wonderful. It just doesn't happen.
No, it doesn't happen.
Where's that? That's deep nurturing, isn't it? Deep.
It comes later on. That's when you work on yourself. What was the moment, the actual moment where your life changed? Where you stopped being, let me jump off buildings, Brandon, let me be the nutter. What was that pinnacle moment, that God-given, as I always call it, it's a gift from, it's a very special moment. It's a God-given moment. What was that for you?
All right, so it's 1996. I'm in Ibiza. I've been asked to leave the island by everyone. Because I was so ruined. I was 9 stone then, and I remember vaguely I was not around approximately 9 stone. I was like that. And I used to be, slightly bigger. And then, I realised that the illnesses were just taking my energy, everything. And, they're not like, they're quite physically impactful on your body. And alongside the medication I was taking as well, because I had to treat a medication to treat the illnesses, which alongside everything else was like my liver was probably going, what the hell is going on here? But I was asked to leave because I was very, very unwell, and people had stopped even sort of just didn't want to be involved anymore, really. So I went home, and I was again having all these pains in my back, my chest, because obviously I was still taking the medication for the CB, but I wasn't curing anything because I was still taking gear. And I sat in the A&E department, rocking backwards and forwards like this, and I said I need more distalgesic or painkillers or whatever it was I was asking.
That's what I used to do. That's what I used to do. I would lock myself in a room and I would rock backwards and forwards, but thinking it was normal. That's what I would just rock backwards and forwards.
That's all you could do to avoid the. I don't even know what it was about. The rocking. You was in pain. You was the underlying anxiety and the stress, as well as everything else, was just tensing your body to such a place that that's all we could do. So anyway, I asked them, going, I need painkillers and benzos, and they said, get out. Mr. Block, you're just a walking time bomb. We cannot give you anything. I'm sorry. And you know what? That moment, there was a clunk in my head. It was like, the only way I can describe it was I'd let go. I let go of all in that one moment. I'm not saying it didn't come back, because it came back in powerful. But for that one moment, I let go of the stress, the anxiety, the fear of not being without, gear, and the fear of life, the fear of everything just dropped from me at that one moment. And it was like, I took a deep breath and went, oh my God, I'm sort of back for a minute. And I was like, Christ. It was like a really strange place to be. And I thought, right, that's it. And that was the moment I'd had enough. I'd had enough of my behaviours and everything. And I just thought, but now I need to go and get help, because I don't know how to stop this at all. I've really got no idea where I'm going to go, who I'm going to speak to. So I actually asked my dad, believe it or not, and he said, right, okay, and I'll get some help. And he made some inquiries, and thank God he found Dr. William Shanahan at the Charter Nightingale in Lisson Grove.
Charter Nightingale. But, for people that haven't watched this, the good thing about the Charter Nightingale is it's a first-stop shop for addiction. They deal with mental health. They have a 5th floor ward.
We both been there.
And on the 5th floor ward, you have a little room. It's very basic, but you know what they do up there? It's like a psych ward for drug addicts. So it kind of has the mental health side of things. But they do an amazing job, and
they really do.
To this day, I send people there when they.
Right, listen, I owe them my life, and particularly Miss Dr. William Shanahan, who's now he's the head of the Priory in Roehampton, but he was also the head medical director of the Chelsea and Westminster counsel for,
Yeah.
and then also the consultant psychiatrist for Charlotte Nightingale. He's now my mentor.
Yeah.
He takes my caseload when I need to go and, so we still get in touch, because he said to me, I've never met anyone who could take as much cocaine and still stand up through my whole career. And that stands to this day. I'm not saying it's a proud thing. I'm just grateful that I'm allowed to. Yeah.
It's not a boast. When we talk about this stuff, we talk about it in past context. The last 3 years, all I've ever done is talk about that bloody stuff, because I brought it to the surface and I put it out there. And we talk about it in a way that we help other people. We're not talking about it like, okay, this is what I've done, this is what I've taken, you all better bow down to me, bitches. It's not about that. What it is it's not boasting. It's our story, and we're telling our story. It's a massive thing to come back from.
Yeah, it's 24 years I've been off the cocaine. So and that's not
24 years.
24 years, and I haven't relapsed. I've not gone back in in 20. So it's 96 October. I remember the date. You do remember these days. So I went in October 10th. I think it was 96. I went in for a week. The first week was like I walked in there. I'd just been on the biggest bender I'd ever been on in my life, because I said I saw blind, I wouldn't do it. Yeah, righto. And then gig at the Ministry of Sound before I'm going into the clinic. And I'm at the Ministry of Sound just going mental, and they're all going, I'm going in tomorrow, I'm stopping. They're going, shut up, you're not stopping anything. What are you doing? Anyway, I laugh about it, but I've got to laugh about it because, it makes me laugh now.
This is it. We have to, when we tell these stories, we've dealt with it, so we can laugh at it. Do you know what I mean?
I mean, yeah, if we make it too serious, then obviously it becomes very scary. But
taking the power out of it by laughing at it.
Absolutely.
So, telling everyone you were going in tomorrow, yeah.
So I've gone back home. But listen, in between going home from the Ministry of Sound to like Wembley, where I live, which is about 50, 60 minutes, I'd made about 25 stops on the way, because I knew everyone through London, and I'm not being funny. It was so ridiculous. I can't even begin to tell you. I'm not going to tell you the amounts, but it was horrendous. Anyway, so I didn't sleep, obviously, when I got home. So I'm going straight to the clinic. I've got my bag of Rohypnol, which at the time, before they became widely used as, the date rape drugs, which is...
That was my favourite drug.
What, Rohypnol?
Yeah.
I
share this all the time. For me, Rohypnol was the one, because I would roller coaster for days on cocaine, and I'd take temazepam, diazepam. Cocaine would level it out. It was a roller coaster. And then I would get Rohies, and I would take a Rohypnol, and then most people would take a Rohypnol and pass out. I would take a Rohypnol and I'm out the door. That was the drug. It had the opposite effect to me. I would go for days on Rohypnol. And then, come Sunday night, I used to be at DTPM, and I'd always be on the stairs, at the bottom of the stairs, right, at Fabric. Fabric.
Oh, Fabric, right, yeah.
Yeah, on Rohypnol. And there'd be times when I would actually physically shit myself. I'd taken so many Rohypnol that every muscle in my body had stopped working. And I would literally, my friend Doz would be with me, and I would go to Doz, I need to go now. And he'd be like, why, have you shit yourself again? I was like, yeah. And he'd go, come on then. But it was only water, because that's all I'd eaten for 3 days. Drank Jack Daniels basically, and Coke. But Rohypnol was always that drug that was the one. Do you know what I mean? I would go right across London in a comatose state just to get. It was insane.
Well, alongside that is sleep deprivation.
100%.
Your mind's in a complete mush anyway. So
so you go to the clinic.
So they nicked all those off. That's what you're doing. They said, you've got to take anything, Brandon. This is it, mate. I went, all right, okay. So anyway, I went in. I had a week there. Then I got a call from Radio 1 saying, do you want to do the Essential Mix? I went, yes, because everyone wanted to do Essential Mix at the time.
Yeah,
they said, don't leave the hospital. I said, I'll be fine. Don't leave the hospital. I'll be fine. Straight out, cab, nick, without thinking, nick, stopped, picked up, come back, took it in one like I would normally, and because I hadn't had my tolerance had gone down, it was like back on the psych ward, suicide level, bloody blood pressure, all this stuff up to horrendous amounts. Then I went back in and they said, look, and I said, I get it now, I get it, I understand how that works, and it's not. So I did another 2 weeks, and they came out. I had a little upset like 10 days later in a club, and I remember it was just like, why did that happen? It was, I think we call it a slip, but it was literally that, and that was it. That was the moment it went dink. I realised now, and I knew everything. It was like a whole unraveling. Maybe that wasn't my light bulb moment, but I realised I then had to, go on the journey.
You, at the beginning of this, you said that how you started working in the field, you work with mental health. How did that go? How did it go from you being in a psych ward to you actually working in the field?
So my journey, as I said, I do know now. I did it. I was very stubborn. I went on my own. I said, I tried the rooms for a couple of months. It wasn't for me. But we know now that each individual's got a journey of their own. But however,
I say this: some people need meetings, and some people need beatings.
Right? Yes.
When I say beatings, I don't mean a physical beating.
No, you need to put yourself through
you
it.
need to be beaten by life.
Yes.
They need, and that's the turning point for some people. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There are lots of avenues to go down. For me, a 12-step program works. It saved my life. I'm in a 12-step program. Yeah. I have lots of friends that don't work a 12-step program that are still clean because they choose other avenues.
Absolutely. And even though if I went, so 10 years down the line, I was I knew I was in the place, but I felt empty emotionally. I wasn't fulfilled in life, let's say. And the urge is to give back because, I learned a lot, and being humans, we want to help. And, I knew people in the game, obviously, and I went to see people, I volunteered. I wanted to share my experience, which was, hopefully valuable. And my fame or infamy, whatever you want to call it, carried weight at that time because people were saying, well, if he can do it, we can do it, which is great. And then I got that urge in 2010. I went on that journey. I carried on for 5 or 6 years within that environment. And that's what I was talking about, the tools I learned or picked up on the way. And then I went to the NHS to work with even more people with bigger issues, let's say, which was really, really powerful. But also it burnt me out because we weren't being supported. And as you know, when you work with people, you can't take people's stuff with you. You have to leave it with you because you can only do so much. And that's when I went into Big Brother on the house with the Celebrity Big Brother house with burnout. And it just wasn't, that's not the place for me to do therapy on myself. And I was told.
Well, no, how long did you last there? You were there like
2.5, 3 weeks, maybe. It was like, the psychiatrist for the show, the psychologist, was a big fan of mine, believe it or not. And he said, I can't believe you're in here. I'm so pleased. But then I told him what I'd be doing. And he went, oh, no, why did you choose to come in here after doing that job? He said, I couldn't do that job sort of thing. Yeah. So anyway, that's what happened. But I came out and look, you know what? It was for a reason because I went on this journey now. And, we run support groups. We've got the charity coming up, my Happy Days charity. I've written an app for the Mind charity, which has now been opened on the App Store, which, it's just a wellbeing app, which is something that I wanted to do a long time ago when I was...
You just gave me chicken skin then. Because what I love about doing this program and talking to people that are, that I've known for many years, that I see and I joke with, and I do your show with you on Saturday mornings, and we laugh, and and I'm my usual Tony self with everyone. Don't like anyone else that comes in. We don't like, trying to get rid of them really quickly. You know what? When I hear you say that the stuff that you've done and the freedom that you have from your mind and the freedom that you have from that past wreckage, so that you can go on to help other people is incredible, Brandon. It's brilliant.
Thank you, mate. I mean, you as well. I think it's only now after doing lots of. I think that for me, and in lockdown, I'm going to bring it to date because, I would probably have not contacted you if it wasn't in lockdown because I wasn't doing what I was doing. It's been wonderful contacting you again because we laughed a lot back then. We did, and I know we did because we were like-minded, and there wasn't.
I'm going to say we laughed probably more than all of them put together.
Yeah, we was always laughing. So it was. I mean, it wasn't all bad, and don't get me wrong, but this is better, and this is. We're alive, we're well, we're sane. We can talk about this and we can reminisce in whichever way it is. But it's a lovely thing to do. And now more importantly than ever is the stuff that's going to go on for people who just have mental health issues, because it's all a mental health issue, really. The whole thing, the world's a mental health bubble about to burst because of what's gone on with the uncertainty of now.
So much going on at the moment, with loss. the loss of jobs, the loss of loved ones, the
Loss
loss
of
of
life, everything.
security, the loss of houses. It's going to go on and on and on. And what that brings is such ill behavior and thinking. Do you know what I'm saying to you? And when we get ill thinking, we get mental health. And we all think that we'll never suffer from mental health. What are you on about? But mental health comes in so many different shapes and forms. It doesn't mean that you're running up and down the street naked, screaming at the top of your head, because we've already done that when we were taking drugs. But what it does, it doesn't mean that. What it does is it comes in so many different levels. And if you're not having an okay day or you're not feeling yourself, please speak out. That's when it's important. Don't just say, yeah, I'm good. Hi, I'm okay today.
One thing I learned when I was doing my training a lot back then was actually someone mentioned to me that everyone has a mental health.
Yeah.
It's just how healthy is it?
Yeah.
So on a daily basis, if we're not mindful of the stress we're putting on our mind and our bodies, that will impact over time. And we have to be aware of that, because once we can manage that or change let's say change what we do on a daily basis, i.e. don't interact so much with the world that makes us feel like that. And if it means turning Facebook off for a couple of days and turn Facebook off for a couple of days, the world's ain't going to stop without it. It's being mindful of that. And if you can do that every morning, and this is where meditation comes in and, mindfulness, and they're all, you've heard the buzzwords, but they work, and they do work. We've got to shut our minds, because if those of you seen The Secret, or, maybe you have, I'm sure, you get 60,000 thoughts a day. And if you wanted to manage 60,000 thoughts a day, we ain't got the processor big enough. It's not even a computer could do that.
I mean, my mental health goes off key when I'm really busy and I'm taking on loads of stuff. Then I have an argument or something's going on at home, and then I've been on too much social media, or my friend, I've dialed the phone, I've got a friend and they've not answered or returned my text message. Straight away I go straight to that point of, they hate me, all of them hate me. Then my mental health goes like that, and it takes a dive. And then what happens is I have kind of mini breakdowns. And when I get to that point, that's when I'm on the edge. Do you know what I'm saying to you? And that's because I'm not doing any self-love. I'm not taking time out. I'm not walking the dog. I'm not being calm. I'm not in my happy place. And, it's about noticing those signs before it goes too far. Do you know what I mean? We don't all end up in wards. We don't all end up with really bad addictions, but what we do end up is not being able to cope. And
yeah, we end up with overwhelm and burnout. But you're right, and I think what I've learned, and I'm like you. I'm sure I'm like you in many ways. And many of us, we want to achieve. We've got to be doing something. We've got to be doing something. Not feeling good enough. It all buys into our not good enough. All it does, it buys into, well, why aren't I? We still got to buy into our bloody ego because we think we've got to be someone else. Well, the more we can say to ourselves, look, we are us. This is us. We are good enough. Just be where you are right now in the present moment. And then if you're getting overwhelmed, to know it and take time out. And I've been able to do that. I've been able to say, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to sit down. I'm going to watch a bit of Netflix. I'm going to chill out. I'm going to ride my bike around the park. I'm not going to worry about what's going on in the world because I have no reason to. I've got nothing I can change about it.
And that in itself is recovery, Brandon. That's recovery.
Well, of course it is. It's knowing when you deserve to be on your own, and you deserve to have your own time, and not be fearful about being on your own, but enjoy it and just sit with yourself and go, it's amazing. I'm all right now. I'm all right now.
I'm normally around people 24/7, and I just was in IB for this time, and nearly, I'd say 25% or 50 to 50% of my phone book were in IB for. And no one's going this summer. Everyone was fucking there. I didn't see. I chose not to see anyone. I saw one friend, and then a couple of others. I came back with 5 new friends that I'd made that I should have met a very long time ago. They were all on an equal, journey of understanding as I was, and it was really bizarre that we all became such good friends so quickly. And there was days where I was just on my own, laying by the pool, and I was so content. I wasn't thinking, oh, I know, I need to act out. Oh, I know, I need to do this.
Yeah, I know, that's that.
I was just laying on the pool, by the pool, not thinking, oh my God, I'm too fat to lay here. Oh my God, I'm too old. Oh my God, all of that stuff that usually goes on in my addict's head. I had none of it going on. I was so late, just laying down, and that's recovery. That just being able to do that switch off is what this is all about. Do you know what I mean? Because we don't switch off.
We probably feel the need to be out there all the time and Instagramming and this, that, and the other. But that's our need for significance, recognition.
Well, you think that, oh my God, if we don't post every 3 minutes, the world's going to forget who we are.
Oh my God.
Oh my God, they're going to forget I'm a DJ. You know what I mean? It's like, it's how it works. My head works.
Oh man, I'm so glad that I've sort of let go of that and been able to say, you know what, it's not true. You know, it's that rationalisation, the irrational thinking and the overthinking, and oh man, and all these little things you've got to be mindful of. But what I can say to you, and for me, in my experience, is all that can change by being aware and just knowing all those neural pathways, all those thinking things you can change about by consciously having a choice, which you can give yourself if you can ground and not get into that rat race and worldly geek thinking, which we do. You can manage your life and be in balance, and you have no need for altering it. You can be present and be happy and be joyful and everything else. I mean, look, lockdown has opened to do stuff like this. It's wonderful. I love doing this stuff, and talking to you is brilliant. And our Saturday morning get-togethers are great. And
well, I love you, Brandon, and I'm really glad you're in my life. You're one of those people that I don't have to see for years and years and years. And when I do see you, that there's a switch that gets switched on every time, and I'm just always filled with happiness and joy. And you're about, you have the magic and you have recovery, and I love you for that,
mate. It's such a pleasure to be on this show with you, and I really appreciate you having me on. And also, again, as I said, we do love each other from all those years back. It wasn't all peripheral. It wasn't all about what we were doing. There was real bonds built with many people, and obviously to be able to listen. We've been doing this 30 years, mate. So to get together after 30 years and still talk so fondly about many of the great memories is a thing in itself. A lot of people don't have that wonderful opportunity because
a lot of people also aren't here anymore.
Exactly, lose touch, and and through this, lots of people lost their lives, and God rest in peace for those people. It's been horrendous, but if we're here to and able to support people in any way, then that's all right with me. And
pleasure, man. Love you so much. Stay strong. Thank you for doing this today. Bye, man.
Bye, mate.